Welcome to the Ben Mulroney Show on this Monday, September 22nd. We're waking up to a new week where Canada has recognized a new colleague in the community of nations, and that is the nation of Palestine. Mark Carney started saying that this was going to happen on August 1st when let's listen to Mark Carney himself, our Prime Minister, on August 1st, when he laid out what he said were preconditions to the recognition of a Palestinian state.
This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms. Hamas must immediately release all hostages taken in the horrific terrorist attack of October 7th, that Hamas must disarm, and that Hamas must play no role in the future governance of Palestine.
Preconditions. I don't know much, but I know that a precondition is a condition that needs to be satisfied prior to what he just said. So you got to do those three things, Hamas. You have to release all the hostages, you have to disarm, and you have zero role to play in the governance of Gaza and the Palestinian state writ large. I ask in good faith, have any of those preconditions been met? And the answer is sadly no. And yet, we have recognized a Palestinian state. Why? I don't know. I genuinely do not know. The only thing that I can think is that our Prime Minister wanted to do so in advance of his appearance at the General Assembly meeting of the United Nations, which to me is a head scratcher. Why you would make such a big decision based on something that was in your calendar feels weird to me. It feels like the priorities of this government were out of whack. It was also curious if you saw the Prime Minister's tweet. He posted, Canada recognizes the state of Palestine, but he spelt recognizes the British way. We do not spell it that way. He wrote it RECOGNISES, but we spell it ZES, which makes me wonder whether he just cut and pasted Keir Starmer's tweet and then replaced UK with Canada. And look, I need to say this. In my entire life, I have disagreed vociferously with a number of Canadian government policies. I have never felt so disconnected from a policy that I would literally say, this government does not speak for me. You do not speak for me. This is not what I stand for. This is not a Canada that I recognize with a Z. And I refuse to own this decision. I've never said that before, and I'm saying it on this front. I am not saying I don't believe in a two-state solution. I am saying that this is a performative, BS, weak-willed, mealy-mouthed, visionless, cynical decision that I refuse to co-sign in any way. Our government believes that this is a step towards normalization. Anita Anand said that this step will only happen when the government sees the Palestinian Authority make good on commitments to significant democratic reform and hold a general election in 2026. But again, you've already tipped your hand. You gave them recognition. And now you're trying to reverse engineer a change of course, saying, because before there were preconditions, and now, no, this is a good faith effort to show those people in the Palestinian Authority that you're willing to engage with them nation to nation. But you've already given them nation to nation status. They have zero need now to do any of the things that you asked for. Something's not tracking for me, and I'm not getting it. And Mark Carney, when he came into politics, didn't say one word about this issue, ever. The issue that brought him into politics was the threat of Donald Trump. Those are his words. He even said, I would not be here were it not for the threat of Donald Trump. He said he was in a pub somewhere when he said it, and I think he was channeling the spirit of Winston Churchill at the time. That's why he came in, because this was the battle of our time against Donald Trump. And so let's look at what this did to our relationship with Donald Trump. Donald Trump put on his Truth Social, quote, wow, Canada has just announced it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. Look, He may be telling the truth. He may not. But you've now given Donald Trump yet another reason to mistrust his closest ally and partner in the world. You've now presented another obstacle to him. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Are you doing these things so that when you ultimately don't get a deal, you can claim it was his fault? I don't know. And let's look at the knock-on effects, the immediate knock-on effects. Our good friend Keir Starmer, everyone's favorite useful idiot in the UK, who was leading this charge and also recognized the Palestinian state. After the recognition of Palestinian statehood, Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority, is demanding £2 trillion in reparations from the UK. That is $3.7 trillion. He claims Britain owes compensation, quote, in accordance with international law for the land it controlled from 1917 to 1948. What have I said before? When it comes to certain people on that side of the equation, everything will never be enough. Everything will never be enough. You just recognize Palestinian statehood. And the first thing that Mahmoud Abbas does, he doesn't subscribe to a single precondition. He doesn't reorganize. He doesn't get rid of the terrorists within his organization. What's the first thing he does? Demands payment of £2 trillion. Everything will never be enough. So how did we get here? Let's go back to the Canadian example. In May of 2024, the NDP in the House of Commons introduced a motion to recognize Palestine as a state. What did the Liberal government do at the time? They amended it. They watered it down to get rid of, the tricky state part. And instead it was a motion for a ceasefire and hostages, etc. Parliament voted 204-118 against the motion. And now the Carney Liberals, ignoring that expression of democratic will, made a unilateral decision, did not bring this before the House of Commons, did not do any such thing. You made a unilateral move on behalf of all of us. Where's the accountability? Where was the desire to check with our elected officials? Who we just had an election just a little while ago. This was not an issue that was brought up in the election. You would think it would be incumbent upon them to check with the House of Commons, check with the Conservatives, who got over 40% of the vote. And here, by the way, not for nothing, with the cheers of recognition still ringing out in the streets of Gaza, what did Hamas do? What did senior Hamas official Ghazi Hamad say about this? He said the fruits of October 7th are what caused the entire world to open its eyes on the Palestinian issue. Keir Starmer said this was not a reward for terrorism. Well, you got the terrorist himself who says this is a reward for terrorism. I don't often take terrorists at their word. I took him at his word right here. And the last thing that we will talk about before we go to break is, so you got the terrorists saying that this was a reward for being terrorists. In the streets of Gaza, just hours after recognition of statehood, when they were told preconditions that did not have to be met of putting down their arms. What did Hamas terrorists do in the streets of Gaza? On video for the world to see on social media, they executed 3 people on the streets. It's up on social media for you to see, because they claimed that these people were working as collaborators with Israel. Shot them in the heads. Shot them in the heads. I guess these guys are gunning to be ambassadors to Canada. Maybe one of these guys might be ambassador one day. This is shameful. It is boneheaded. It is short-sighted. And it's a failure of our democratic values, as well as a long-standing 70-year relationship with Israel. Thanks so much for watching the show. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of The Ben Mulroney Show.